Hold me close so I can breathe. Let me go so I can live. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time.
Captain Rion, we got him on the run. Captain Rion.
Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time. And love will take its place. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars. I turn up the stars for you. Forget your past.
All right, namaste and la catch, my family. Welcome to a live Team Light interviews with my boy, Tony Rodrigues. Tony, what's up, brother?
Hey, Ryan. What's up? I'm good.
What up, man?
I've been keep clipping along pretty good, and things are working out.
Good, bro. Hey, I'm just here, like, I don't know. I was like saying, I'm like, we need to go live. We need to give the people what they want, so they can go in the comments and also ask some questions. You know what I mean? And like, you know, as far as all of the homies out there that have had these experiences, especially in the SSP and some of the stuff that's gone on behind the scenes, I think it's really important for us to bring it back into the narrative, because really what we're pushing for right here is full disclosure. And especially in a simple way, you know, I was talking to Brad, we did an interview yesterday, and that'll be up soon, Mr. Olson. It's really just the technology that's been hidden from us, and some of the things that you guys had casually on those ships, and some of the things that you guys just, oh yeah, food replicator, yeah. I remember you were saying, you're like, there were 6 options. I kept eating the meatloaf. The meatloaf was in the mashed potatoes. The pot roast.
Pot roast and mashed potatoes was the only thing chewy. Everything else was slimy.
Right,
it was it's like slimy food. So.
Yeah, no. So I was saying, let's talk about that for a second, because people don't know, what is a food replicator? That's just something that people should know. Explain it to them.
Well, it looked like a microwave. It looked like an old style one, like from the 80s. It had the old buttons on it, and you would take. We had cups, like styrofoam cups. They weren't styrofoam; they were plastic. Mm-hmm. And they were like a bowl sized, and you would take it off and put the lid on it, and the lid had holes in it, and you'd set it in there empty and hit the button, and it took a few minutes, but it came out super hot, boiling, piping hot of whatever the food was. Macaroni and cheese. They had a sauerkraut. They had
it's German
mashed potatoes.
You got to have that sauerkraut, right?
It was sauerkraut. Yeah, it was like sauerkraut and like a fake meat in there. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. The pot roast was chewy. And actually had a really good meat consistency, like you're eating a pot roast. So
let's go ahead.
It had all your nutrients too. So it was like 3 of those a day. You got in trouble actually if you didn't eat it.
Really?
So yeah, if you passed on lunch, you would get in trouble. They would ask you what's wrong with you. Basically, you have to eat 3 a day, no matter what. So they had it all worked out. They had the science to your nutrition worked out.
Right. So what are you actually eating? So that machine is basically recombining the molecular structure of, say, a pot roast, and then how was it? Has amino acids and vitamins and whatnot in it?
Yeah. Well, all I know is it had, and I didn't spend a lot of the day hungry either, and it was like smaller portions.
Right.
And so it did all your nutrients. It gave you all your nutrients. So however they did it. A friend of mine, Jean-Charles Moyen, who had Freedom when he was up there, said that he did a hand scan. And I think that they were scanning us at the end of the day. I think when I checked back into where I stayed, that they did a scan, and that scan provided it was individual. So when you hit it, it knew that it was you. In other words, if
it was
if
biometrics.
Yeah, well, yes. And so, on however they did it. Mm-hmm. But basically, if you went up and pressed the button to get yours, it would give you your nutrients that you needed for the day. And when I did it, it knew the difference between us. And I used to go up, and there was a code that I had to put in for my buddy, because I would go up and one of us would go up and get the food, and you had to give our ID code to put it in. So, but those were and that was a pad that different. That's funny, because that's the first time I remembered that we used to go up and get one for each other.
Homies.
And it sucked to carry it down because it was hot. Like, it would burn your hand. You know, they were thin plastic bowls, and they were super hot. And in the book, I talk about how they had a productivity score. For everybody on the ship had a productivity score, and they gave you rewards if you did better than the other guy. So there wasn't one janitor, put it that way. If there was a guy that swept the floor, they would make two of them so that they could compete. And they each had a score at the end of the day of how well they were working. They had a productivity score, and over time, if you were consistently the winner, you would get perks. You'd get to come up and meet the captain. You get a break. You know what I mean? And your score would get, like, there was a game. They gamified working, labor.
Got it.
And that was how I cheated and got in front of the guy that was my counterpart that I was pitted against. He was always beating me, but I inhaled my lunch really fast, burnt my mouth. But it didn't matter because he was a slow eater. I found out from other guys on the ship that he refused to eat fat. He was a slow eater, and so I got another like 15 minutes of work ahead of him every day by eating my food, and I'm still a fast eater from it. Like I came home and the next morning, my mom was like, "Whoa, slow down!" Like it came with me back when I came back.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about everyone's excited in the comments. All right, let's talk about where these experiences had, because there's some people out there across the planet right now, from here to South Africa to Australia, that maybe don't know your story. Let's talk about, so where was this taking place? You were on a ship next to Ceres, right? Go ahead.
Based out of Ceres. So the planetoid Ceres is in between Mars and the asteroid belt. And it's like 580 miles across. You know, it's a dwarf planet. It's a chunk of, and inside of it, they found caverns. There was they found the remnants of a base from millions of years ago that somebody else built, and they moved in. So they made a treaty. They went in after World War II, or before World War II, made a treaty, and they began to colonize in places. And that was one of the first, when I'm hearing this from other people, and it does make sense with what I remember, is that it was one of the first independent colonies. So the rest of the colonies are kind of one corporation that works together, but Ceres has its own set of rules, because it was one of the first ones. It was one of the bigger ones, and it has a great deal of water. Okay. So it was one of the first colonies they built in. And a lot of the buildings in there were made to look like old European buildings, and they were already, you know, the railings had rust, and they had chips, like the ceiling had panels, and they would be dented and rusty. So it had been aged by the time I got there. I got there right around probably 88 or 90, 88 to 90, and somewhere in there was when I got there, I believe. 87, 88, probably. I have to look at my time. It's been a long time. It's been 8 years.
No, hey, listen, I don't want you to go deep into the memory banks. We're going to stay right on the surface. We're going to be like, this was a happy experience. We're not going deep. We're going, what's the food like? Where were you?
God bless you. It's early.
Yeah, it's early.
It's early in the morning, so yeah, God bless.
Listen, I'm gonna keep this positive. Okay. In my presentation that I'm going to bring forth, I'm going to break down some of my interactions with different interterrestrial and extraterrestrial beings in my own spiritual nature, and how I had to work with them doing activations and stuff. Specifically with you, what are some of the coolest species you've interacted with other than humans, obviously?
Well, there was a short reptilian that was my chaperone. He was security. So when they were putting me back on the return trip, and I ended up back in my 10-year-old body, they knew that I was going to get my memories back eventually. They have the ability to tell probable futures. Right. And so he escorted me from the department that I was in to another medical place. Like, it was like a hospital, looked like a hospital. It was on the back of the moon. Right. And we spent time together. They would do a procedure, and then they had to wait, and they would go off. You know how a doctor or a nurse leaves you in the room? Yep. And then, I'll be back in a minute, and they come back. So he was sitting there with me, and we would talk, and he had a sense of humor. He had a family.
They could use their vocal cords speak. You were speaking English,
it was telepathic. It was in my mind, and I could speak, and he could understand me. He said, "You don't have to speak. You can just think about it, But I still would speak, and he could hear me, but I would hear him in my mind. So
You know what's funny about that is when I do telepathy with my upper dimensional versions or, people in the astral, sometimes I do, and I tell my fam out there, I'm like, send movie clips. They think that's really funny. I do a lot of Will Ferrell with the hands. Like, what do you want me to do with my, yeah. So I'll send like a Blu-ray, like a 2.5 minute clip from a movie. This is what it feels like being here. Because a lot of the questions we get, when we're conscious. Remember, I think, I believe Nate Zalesnik said it best with some of the information. We can go back in the video and check it out later. But how your consciousness, right, compared to your subconsciousness, the neural load is like, your subconscious is like, say, 100 times the speed of neural processing than your consciousness actually in the suit. So I found that, for me specifically doing telepathy, a lot of the stuff that I do, especially with managing some of the different territories on Earth, we do have a lot of jobs upstairs. I know your higher selves do. My boy Riggs. And I know my boy Kramer, I love Randy too. I met his higher self. He's fire, We have these jobs in negotiating things and obviously being down here in the physical plane. You're like, why am I here? What are we doing? It's like Groundhog Day sometimes. I'm like, da, 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 da. I'm pretending every day. What do you want me to do down here? So I think with us getting faster in our uptake, my main purpose for being here, I believe with you as well as the whole squad, is kind of speeding everyone up. Because you cannot have, let's just say, ships show up in the atmosphere and everyone, it's almost like Planet of the Apes. They're like, oh my God, this is the first time. It's like, no, we're down here to take everyone through these steps. So when you see someone, you're like, oh, some reptilians are cool. And, my main thing is being, like I said, I don't want to get into the multidimensional nature too much because I know there's a lot of people that have experiences per se with this happened to me in the physical, let's just say on Ceres or on a planet. This is what happened to me. Okay. And more of the multidimensional nature of the universe and how in the multiverse, I should just say, each of us have different species or bloodlines or frequencies that are more like some of the different, let's just say, our neighbors in the universe, or especially the galaxy or our solar system. What I'm getting to is like switching in between your multidimensional self. So I know, didn't you have like some really gnarly experiences with your higher self was trying to show you or walk you through some things? And wasn't he the one who's like, hey, that's enough? Like, didn't he like come down here and go, that's enough, guys? Explain that to them. Yeah.
So that's great. So I was taken, for people who don't know, I was taken for 20 years. And then they used whatever they used. I don't know how they did it. Age regression, and put me. I grew. I was taken, put in the black programs, and grew up from 10 years old to 30 years old. And then they put me on the back of the moon in a base and gave me whatever they did. Who knows, right? And I was back in my 10-year-old body. Then they put me back in time. I woke up the same night. I woke up the morning after. I was taken on a Thursday. I woke up Friday morning. During that time, the first 6 or 7 years or so, I was on Earth and I was in black programs. I was considered a clone. That's what they called me. And I woke up in Inyokern, and it was a advanced remote viewing and psychoenergetics research with kids that they thought were clones. So they were giving us like the maximum experimental drugs and experimental procedures. We didn't have any rights, and I've been returned there. Found the buildings have classified special district, the buildings I was in, and it was perfectly legal to do what they did, considering. But at the end of that program, towards the end, when they got into the real radical stuff, they put us in an oxygen tent. You know what's hilarious is that it came out in the movie Deadpool.
Oh, I remember.
They put him in a chamber and they were lowering the oxygen and like killing him and then bringing him back to life. That was exactly the experiment, but I had my memories before the movie came out, so it's not like I saw that and got some kind of inspiration. I had already talked about it in an email. Well, I'm just saying, I'm making note of it because Hollywood is doing that. People are secretly having conversations of to people like you, and I'm saying this happened to me, and then Hollywood is listening and creates a thing so that they take credit and go, well, he's not real. He saw that in a movie. But Hollywood fell way behind us there for a while, and I'm just making a point of that. But basically, it was an oxygen tent, and they had EKG things stuck to me, and they would lower the oxygen. They would put another gas, an inert gas, and I would suffocate and start breathing. And right when I was about to die, a bell would ring, like the room bell, and a ding, one of those. and then the oxygen would come back on, and I'd wake back up, and I felt like crap. Then it would do it again. It kept doing it, and after so many times, I started getting close. Like I started having near-death experience. I started leaving my body and seeing the tunnel of light. Like I was giving, and it was very pleasant.
Right.
And then the bell would ring, and I would come back into my body, and I was suffering. I was what do you call it? Suffocated.
Yeah,
And so I came back into my body that was not, and it was terrible. I was like, oh, just let me go. And it did that a bunch of times, I remember. And then finally, I got far enough out to where I said, hey, let this kid die. I said it. Like, I don't know if it was me, it was my higher self.
It was your higher self. I mean, that's,
my higher self came and said, hey, knock it off. And I remember the lights flickered, and the nurse came running and said, we've got one. Doctor, we've got one. And he was like, what happened? And they were writing it down, and and then he said, say what they asked me, and I was like, you need to let him die, if you're going to let him die, or something. I said something. I don't remember. I was like, I was totally screwed up at that time, but I remember the sensation when I left. So I was a boy. I was 10 years old, and I remember when I was leaving, and for a minute, it felt like I had an adult mind, and then I'd get sucked back into that existence, and it was like it was a really horrible experience.
Right.
But it happened over and over again. And then after that, so then that was it. Once I had that episode, they gave me oxygen and took me out of it, and that was the end. I just went to sleep. Right. And the next day, he called us in for a briefing, and he said, congratulations, you qualified for Theta. I didn't think this group had it in them. And he said, you qualified for the Theta.
So we have a question from Amy. What is the point of this experiment? It's a forced purge, Amy. So basically, this is how I can explain it. You're 10 years old. They're trying to expedite the ability to go OBE, turn on your astral projection, reconnect to your higher self. It's a forced thing. So it's a near-death life experience over and over and over and over again until that thing connects and goes, what are you doing to this lower density version of myself, right?
Yeah, your higher self bumps in.
And says...
And it's about to do something about it.
Yeah, so that is something, it's about to, supersede whatever the experiment is from an upper dimension, right? So... in the Vedic type of religions and stuff, to go OBE, where when I was in Jammu, Kashmir, but also when I was in Rishikesh, some of the guys I met out there and talked to in the physical, their main thing is the 10-year plan, where basically a lot of these beings learn how to go OBE on command. But in the old school way, it was every single chakra, every single thing leaves the suit as one unit. Hence why in some of the, the gurus out there, whatever you call them, the gifted ones, they can park their body at the mouth of a cave, and they go OBE right into the cave, and they have all these experiences. It's like parking your car, okay? But they park their body, okay?
That's right.
The way I was taught when I first woke up was to go out the front door, right out my third eye. And that was the first thing I learned. It's much faster. But it took me years to be able to do the Vedic style, which is the whole body sits up in your suit. You stand up. And the first time I experienced that, when I actually left my body, laying on my bed, because I could see everything and my throat chakra was on at that time. But to actually, when I first stood up in my energy form, there's two angelics, or probably fleet command, standing at the foot of my bed, and they caught me because I'd never used my energy legs before. You know what I mean? It's like, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, you're outside of your body now. And that's how it kind of, some people get to experience. It's a slow thing that takes time. What you did, Tony, what they did to you, that was a rapid, and they were just it's almost like they were doing a mass. How many of these kids actually have the potential to do it? And they were sifting very quickly, which is, I don't know. I don't know whose crazy idea that was, but
I do.
Yeah. We're going to keep it positive. We're keeping this PG, Tony. My boy Riggs. Okay, let's say some more cool things. I know you have a new book that you're working on right now about astral projection. You want to talk about that?
Well, so, yes. So, I have a bunch of... I don't have them on this computer screen share, but when I got back... I physically went to the place where this happened. Right. I stood in the room last November. August or September, I forget. I'm on the spot right now. Like I said, it's early.
Hey, no worries. Hey, it's good.
Tyler Koala from Journey to Truth and I we flew into Vegas and we drove to Inyokern. And we went on site and we filmed it. And lo and behold, I had no idea, but the building that this happened is still there. Mm-hmm. And we went in, the door was wide open. I walked right in there. It was the worst. It was the most mind-blowing thing.
Right.
And I was in complete shock because I went to the very place where I woke up. I was abducted. I was in an ET facility with grays and reptiles and stuff. And they said, we're going to do it. We're going to borrow your consciousness for 20 years.
Right.
Put me on the table. Bang, they did it. I woke up in that building. When I lost consciousness, I woke up right there in the very place that I found last year. So when I got back, it proved it to me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I'm constantly in denial. I just want to be normal, right?
Right.
So it proved it to me, and I went back and I really started researching it, and I found the paper trail, a pile of paper trail a mile long around that date I was taken. As best I can figure out was April 15th or 16th of 1982. So middle of April of 82. The funding of Project Grill Flame, the Stanford Research Institute, and the Army INSCOM funded remote viewing research. It stopped in April of 82 and resumed in January of 83. So 9 months, right? Something like that.
They reset the
9 months. There was
Yep.
And during that time, there was a Senate Arms Committee inquiry on where they were getting their people, their test subjects. And in January, they said where all the subjects in the Grill Flame and Center Lane, the projects afterward, had to be volunteers. So for that time, what I'm saying is they knew what they were doing. They had cloned kids from the space program.
Right.
They had kids from the ETs. The ETs told them they were clones, but it was my consciousness that was driving the clone. That's the thing. Like I'll bet if
it
you
was a
clone
loophole.
somebody,
They found some weird loophole to be able to do some of that weird stuff. You know, we're gonna keep ripping. Tony will come back on. Look, we're dropping too much truth. Too much truth.
I saw that.
Yeah, no. Hey, I started talking about the cone heads, and they cut my feed like this because I was like, yeah, the banking system and some of these beings, and my whole system shut down. So we're right over the target, my brother. We're right over the target with what this is.
What I said when it clicked was that the 20 and back technology is probably based off cloning tech. They clone you, and your consciousness goes in for the 20 years, then they put you back in the there's a loophole about it. So that program thought we were clones, but we were something else. We were a little bit more.
Right. So here's the thing. When you said, I want you to reference what you said about how your consciousness was used for 10 years, in a different suit, and we talked about before we started. And then I want to share something that I know personally that I learned from one of my guides. So go ahead and let them know. Basically, the conversation was such that when they take your consciousness from one suit to another, right, there's certain rules and regulations, even in that, with that technology, on the duration of time they're allowed to do that because of what can happen. Right, brother?
That's right. I asked in the beginning, why 20 years? Why not 50? Why not 60 years? Why longer? And the little reptilian that I told you about was like, he said, well, for every species, the probability of you being insane when we put you back goes up really high after 20 years. So they cap it at 20 years or 25, whatever it is. So they have a limit on it because it's a safety margin. So 20-year increments. My second book, Project Star Maker, the Ceres Colony Corporation made contact with an ET species and wanted to trade for technology.
Right.
And what they traded was our consciousness to drive their own watered down versions. Yeah, well, to drive their own biological. Our consciousness drives our body. It's biological, but we're like super talented. We are the best robots you can ever have.
Okay.
You can make strong robots, you can make it, but they can't go and do the things we do. They don't have intuition. They can't manifest anything. Robots are never going to be what humans are. So they sold me. They took us guys, and there was a line of guys, and that the book Project Star Maker happens in Ceres Colony Cavalier, the first book, in between page 252 and 253. It's the hallway scene. But there was a whole story there, and Jackie, my editor, Jackie Kenner, bless her heart, would ask me, we were writing the book. She goes, wait, what happened there? And I was like, look, I don't want to confuse this. It's hard enough for people to understand me already. And, I fight skeptics. I get attacked. My, friends of mine from school would come at me. So I there's only so much I can give before it's like I want to stay where people can understand.
I got the same thing going on here. My point is that the hardest thing for people to really wrap their head around is with all of these different people stepping forward from all forms of government. Even the Canadian Defense Minister steps forward and go, we have these things. We have this technology. People don't want to listen to it. They just want to think that their whole reality is Netflix and Walmart and my 401k. And I'm just sitting down here going like, I did not incarnate on this planet for this rhetoric. Like it honestly feels, I know you feel the same way. It's like there's so much that's been hidden from the population that when you actually start to remember who you are, almost like when you said, when your higher self stepped in and said, that's enough, let the kid die. Well, imagine having your higher self inside your body right now, looking through your eyes, looking at this type of stuff that's going on down here in the surface, and having an upper dimensional or a higher density version of yourself walking around in the suit is kind of what I'm referencing. You know, when you activate that dormant DNA, everyone thinks, oh, it's a Kundalini activation. Ladies and gentlemen, a Kundalini activation is you starting the car. That's just you turning the key to start the car. A Kundalini activation. You know, I'm trying to bridge all of the different things together, Riggs. Watch me work.
Great to use metaphors, man.
Hey, listen, watch me work, a little salt and pepper. So when you turn that key for a Kundalini activation, that's the beginning of your body being able to resonate at a higher frequency, to be able to pull down the consciousness necessary. Imagine an antenna. You cannot, if you're down here in 3D, you have to put your antenna up, hence your crown chakra, and you have to breach sometimes. As your higher selves are coming down the pipeline, you have to meet them halfway, meet God halfway. What I'm trying to get to, ladies and gents, is there's a process to this. There is a duration of time and your own tutelage, daily practices, meditation, to get to this point. So there's an old school way, which is what we kind of reference here in the civilian world, right? But then there's also a fast-paced way that some kids like Tony was forced into, that, against their will. At the end of the day, Tony, you know you're going to put your golden robes on, your golden slippers when we leave this place. I know you're going to be like, I can see you with the I know. Listen. For all of us that go through these traumatic experiences, look, we are the way showers. We are the light bearers. We are those that come down here and experience really gnarly things for our brothers and sisters. So honestly, they don't have to. I am not here to express, and I know Tony's the same way, we're not here to express all the negative things and stay in that lane. We're here to say, like, hey guys, this is real. I experienced this and I'm trying to express this. How can we come back into our hearts, still have this level of evolution, but also take care of and direct our focus and consciousness at some of these ways that we have been misused. Our energy and our souls have been misused. So that's what I think we're doing as the collective. It's not to say one story and this story. No. I'm trying to say you take everything together and you make like a round table discussion on, I think that our free will and sovereignty should be used for benefiting humanity, not independent commercial corporate brokers that are using our God technology, us, our souls, to manipulate us to get X, Y, and Z results. I think it's time for us as human beings to reclaim our sovereignty. How do you feel about that, brother?
Well, that's a mouthful, man, to say it real quick, but basically, we are led astray. We're chasing a carrot stick in the wrong direction, and you don't need, everybody has to survive on one hand, but on the other hand, like you
Right.
need very little to be happy and to be in your own space, be healthy and undo
Yes.
what happened. 100% of people experience trauma growing up on one form or another.
Yes.
Whether it's radical criminal trauma or the trauma of just finding out that you can't have chocolate whenever you want it as a
Right.
little baby, as a little kid. Like at some point whenever you discover that the world isn't what you expected it to be, that's traumatic. And so we all are unwinding that as we navigate the world together. So there is a state of mind, but there's a state of mind that they take advantage of, and they say, well, now see how the world got you here? Now you got to follow it here and do this. And it's blinders.
Right.
Keep you away from
It's tunnel vision.
Yeah, they put you in tunnel vision, so you're chasing this carrot and stick thing. But the reality is, we all connect with each other every day. We go to sleep, our subconscious minds exit the array, or whatever you want to call it, exit the 3D, and we all are part of a much bigger existence, and we have access to it. Your higher mind, your crown chakra, your antenna that you said, accesses the array, and most people don't believe that it's even there, so they don't listen to it. They don't tune into it.
Right.
That's what this is what I've learned. So back to the paperwork that I found, which is going to put a exclamation point on what you just said, was that the program I was in, because I found all that, I started finding the research. They declassified a lot of it, and I went, "Oh, holy shit!" I started to remember the program. Like I remembered being there. I remembered certain things. There's a lot of it in my book, but when I went there physically, I actually got memories of the conversations and the people involved. I got more memories. I got to smell the place, if you will, and feel it, the vibe, and the planes flying over. So I started a remote viewing group. I have a remote influencing group, and we do experiments with it. And my upcoming book is a brief history. We'll see if it's taken, right? But a brief history of remote viewing, and I'm going to include the paperwork that I found and the advanced experimental program that I remember. I'm going to include that in it, and kind of what I found researching for the book is that we've been doing it all along. All of mankind has been having psychic abilities all along, because it's exactly what you said. Some people just have a bigger antenna. They're already aware of it. And some people are looking to be distracted on purpose. So all those awakenings are going to happen, and people need to know, because they're going to come at us with some radical technology pretty soon.
Yes.
They're talking about implants and everybody that will read your mind and have a working report on it. It's kind of what we had in series. It's kind of the same tech. I'm fairly sure I had an implant, and that's how the translator worked. They could turn it on and off, and they could watch me. I got in trouble in the book, and I think that it was because they had an implant and they watch it. So there's going to be a real divide right now in the coming years of people that get in touch with their higher selves, with their psycho-energetic abilities. You know what I mean? Get in touch with their bodies and do that. Or people that are totally put their head in the sand and go the technology route and embrace it fully and just do what they're told.
Right.
So we are going to split into two, but literally a couple. When we are now, look at the people that are kind of rejecting. Don't watch the media. They watch you. They don't watch the mainstream. People reject it. We're a smaller society, but it's going to grow because the mainstream society just lost its damn mind, and it's along that lines. Like getting in touch with the rest of us that's why we're here, to let the people know that your inner self and your higher mind is there and accessible, and with a little practice you can really change your life and the life of everybody around you in a great way.
100%. I couldn't agree more. My main thing is what I feel myself bumping into. I'm bumping into, especially after the conversation with Brad, you guys will see that interview soon. I'm bumping into different species on this planet. Like, imagine a third party perspective showing up here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, you guys, imagine me and Riggs, our souls aren't even from here. Okay. He went through this path that was like, okay, this is what's going on the secret space program and all the traumas that come with that, right? This is what they're doing to us, right? And then I'm coming from it from a point of, obviously we all have our negative experiences in our life. Obviously what I found the norm is the more gifted you are, the more you're messed with down here in the matrix, because that's the higher potential you have to change the world. Okay, there it is. Yeah, boom. And here's the thing I want to express is, do you guys remember the old names of the kings and queens of, per se, of Tartaria or Atlantis or Lemuria, right? No, right? Just a handful of names survive. Well, let me explain something to you. These beings that are puppeting us around will be forgotten as the smaller aspects of what really was before. These beings here are the commercials that were left over. And I cannot be more clear for the beings staring in my eyeballs right now. You have no idea who incarnated on this planet. You cannot fathom the beings that actually showed up after watching our probabilities, after seeing the potential of Earth as a library planet, after seeing the goodness that is here, the potential that is here. I just want to remind everyone, in the spiritual nature of the universe is watching this planet right now. The universe knows every single thing that has taken place in this space-time. There are no secrets. Even in series, look, they think they're hiding something on an asteroid. My boy Riggs is like, hey, I wrote 3 books about it. You want to know what the weird shit you're doing to us? I mean, you can't run from truth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, wherever you think, oh, we're going to do some weird project in a dumb space, another homie's going to pop up and be like, I was there for 30 years. 30 years a slave in the tunnels. Like, whatever this is, the truth's going to come out. So, ladies and gents, what I say is, with the truth coming out, have discernment. But also, like my boy, Tony was just saying, hey, his higher self did show up. When he was in that vacuum thing, after with the 10th, 13th time, his higher self showed up and said, hey, shut it off. That's enough. What I'm getting to, we do have higher levels of consciousness plugged into us 24 hours a day. The issue is that, are you aware of it? You know what I mean? That's the whole thing that people really need to understand, especially with some people that are just like watching CNBC and CNN. You're brainwashed. You're brainwashed, bruh.
Just take a minute and get within yourself. Look within. Take a minute and treat yourself right.
Yeah, no. And I just want to be real with everyone out there. This is just the beginning of this huge disclosure thing that's going on. We're sharing small pieces of it. Everyone has their own piece of this puzzle. And we're putting it together together. We're putting this puzzle together. And that's what something I just want to share with everyone across the planet. We are on the same team. We are here for humanity, sovereignty, peace, and love here, and freedom. Okay? So that's why we incarnated. I know, my brother, you signed up for some, I don't know, bro. You signed up for like, let's take it to the nines. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, you imagine like incarnating on
yeah, I was like, do your worst. What do you got? Right. And,
my boy looks like Superman right now. He's like, look, okay, I'll take the level 10 adventure of just
that's
like.
kind of what I did. I feel I did that. Yeah.
You know,
I bit off a little bit much this time around.
Hey, listen. I'm here with you. Like, there's a whole world hug going around you right now for experiencing what you did, and thank you for sharing that with us. You know what I mean? And listen, you got my love and support around you, and I'm really glad that you're here. You know what I mean? For all, you know what I mean? And for all the naysayers, listen, you guys, when I talk about some stuff I see, and I've done activations on this planet where I'm viewing through my third eye like a VR helmet, I can't explain to someone what that looks like who's never seen through their third eye. No matter how much I talk about it, right, or how much I express it, you can't convince someone to have that experience. What I say is, activate your own dormant DNA, turn on your own third eye, and then you'll be like, oh my goodness, I see exactly what he's saying. And same thing with my bro Tony is, I can't prove to you, or I can't say that this stuff is going on and I need you to believe it 100%. No, what I can say is I can share my experience, that this is what happened to me. And as you go and look in all the data coming out, the CIA blatantly have paperwork coming out for all the people sleeping and their parents that need to watch this shit. The CIA, 3-letter agency, released papers on astral projection, OBE. It's 100% real.
It's the same program I was in. So that was from the program I was in. Like,
bro, talk about it, please.
Exactly,
please educate everyone. The
Gateway
people, their moms, their dads that are like, I can't believe this. This was released. Explain it, brother.
There's a wealth of it. The CRV method was all based in that. The Stanford Research Institute was working on remote viewing to counteract the Soviets as early as like 71 or 72 when they began research. And they proved human psychic ability, or ESP. They proved it, and then they got funding again. It went through Army INSCOM, and what happened was it was so successful. They say that the program got canceled, but the program, in the original lettering of the program, was that only Army INSCOM could have access to the data. So they canceled that program, and they started a new one that everybody, the Navy and the Air Force and the FBI, and they could have access to the data. And they moved all the assets into that and moved it into Leavenworth in Kansas City in, I want to say 84, 86. But anyhow, that's the paper trail behind it. And that's what that went into Project Grow Flame was the one I was in, the gap in between Grow Flame, and then Project Center Lane. And you can look these up on the CIA declassifiedlibrary.org. Have a look at it. Go in there. It's some crazy reading, believe me, because they just like that Gateway document. Right. That's from this exact same program.
Ladies and gentlemen, all my super Jedi out there, please put the link of exactly what he's speaking about in the comments, because I know some of my Toth and some of my other guys that are over there. Go ahead and put that up for people that are still sleeping, that need to read logistical data, right? Go ahead and put that link in the comment.
They spent the money on it. They had great success. I've seen reports back to the Congress. Senator Pell was the guy in charge of it back at the Joint Arms Committee, and he was getting reports of it. He was getting briefed on it, and they were having stellar results. So it morphed into Project Center Lane, and that was just reconnaissance. And then they started to realize, when they really hyped up soldiers, guys that were doing it full time, volunteers that were doing it full time, and with some of the technology. So they didn't just put you with a, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't just play a tone and you meditated. There were technologies involved that I'm working on reporting on, so that I can talk about later this year. But they started to begin to influence people. They started to be able to heal people and hurt people, and induce things like swelling or nightmares, or people that were already hurt, make them heal slower. And so then it went to Gateway and Stargate, and kind of fractured off into a couple different programs. And then when I believe, and this is only my speculation, is that they learned how to murder people from a distance, remote influencing, and then the entire thing got classified. That's when it all went underground. And so a lot of the things, so there's some other technologies that are also classified that are not in any of the reports. They tell you that, so you can go on the website and look up CRV or remote viewing method in the CIAD class. I think it's Freedom of Information Act, FOIA.com. You can look up remote viewing, but they tell you just enough to do some remote viewing, but not enough to really remote viewing. So some of the ones, and then it's expensive. There's some great. Dick Allgaier is very well known, very active. Courtney Brown with the Farsight Institute. Like, you can learn how to do this stuff, but you have to practice it. It's a skill, just like the mindset, like you said, getting in touch with your higher self and putting up the antenna. It's a skill set. It's a skill set. It's just like our bodies and everything we ever do works the exact same way. You have to work out. You got to hit the gym if you want to get strong. One trip isn't going to do it.
Yep.
So it's the same with this. It's a muscle. And they tell you how to do this, but turns out there's some advanced ways to do remote viewing and the psychoenergetics and the influencing that are not in the reports.
I'm so happy you're here, bro. It's like the words right out of my mouth. You're like, listen, you got to go to the gym. You got to work on your time. I mean,
me and you talk about metaphor, man.
I talk about this shit all the time. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills down here. I'm like, Will.
And we talk with metaphors. Yeah, like, I can't wait to hang out with you in Austin. It's gonna be a blast,
dude. It's gonna be awesome. Listen, I don't want to take this off the rails, but I'm just trying to say, like, God, it's for good to feel another person. It's like, oh my God, my brother is like, oh, you want to hear my crazy story? I mean, like, goodness gracious. So, no, I just want to say, man, it's we can go. I don't know, we can go a little longer. I know you're a very busy man. You gotta get that book
I got another
done.
one at 3.
Okay, so check this out.
Time from now.
Okay, we got you're going to be there doing a book signing in Bastrop, April 7th and April 8th. You're bringing your books, and you're going to have your pre-order books for your new astro projection. So people can come to your booth, get their stuff signed. If you know about my boy Riggs, and you can go to TonyRodrigues.com to get his books and whatnot. Once you read the Series Space Cavalier, is that what it is? That one?
Series Colony Cavalier. Yep.
Bro, I read that and I always started to have memories. And see, the whole thing with me is, and maybe this will help a lot of you guys that maybe were in the projects. Listen, I haven't really come to terms with some of the stuff that I've been through, okay? I just kind of keep it casual. I go old school with it. I have seen into one of my versions realities where it is very secret space program level. Okay. I see it. I interact with it. I just don't really bring it down here because a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of things like this. Look, 3D life is hard enough. And Riggs, I know you can express this. It's hard enough just to have a job, put food on the table, keep a roof over your head. You know what I mean? It's hard to do some of this stuff as just being a human down here right now in the end times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for all of us going through similar things, my little technique is I watch cartoons, anime. What do you do to relax with your inner child? What's your secret? Because people are asking, what are some...
I play 1980s video games.
Yes! There it is!
Video games, because that was my childhood that got robbed from me. Like...
What, Mario
I know
Kart?
full well... I know
Zelda?
full well, like Galaga. Like, I got Pac-Man over here. I bought the arcade games. And
right.
The thing is, in those years in 82, it's like I came back and I been through a meat grinder emotionally.
Right.
I wasn't in my head and I wasn't right. And I lost those years. And so all that stuff, the old video games, like it's like me actually winning over that, And I know what I'm doing. I know I'm wasting time.
No, you're not. Listen.
But it's therapy, man. It's like
it is.
I just like to play Miss Pac-Man. I really do. That's my jam. So,
dude,
I'm sorry, you guys. I know some people are rolling their eyes, but you know what I mean.
No, wait. First of all,
I wish you guys the best.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna say, Riggs. I'm gonna give you the perfect analogy of why we do this. Okay, so everyone can calm down. Listen. Every single day, especially if you're a multidimensional being, you're processing high data loads. Okay, just like when you're running your computer on maximum, when you say you're editing or rendering a high-res video, the computer is going wang, and it's just crushing, using all the RAM, all the CPU to run these programs. Hence, us processing higher level realities and pulling down content from the cloud or the Akashic. Now, every single person, every single day needs to find something that they enjoy that puts them in a space of peace in their heart with their inner child. And you have to balance the calmness with the high data load transfer. So my brother, you are dead on when it comes to being with your inner child. Hey, so listen, anyone else has a problem with that, you come holler at me, bro, and I'll explain.
All right.
You send them my way and I'll break it down. No, the faster the speed of the download, the more downtime you need. So you're
Wow.
like, oh yeah.
Wow.
You're like, no, if you mass bang, you're like, I'm processing 8K videos and and the computer's humming. It can barely take the neural load. You need to spend more time in the chill rested zone. So for me, it's a combination of gym, steam room, sun charging, anime. I come home and I sit there and I'm in this suit, bro. I mean, I don't know what I look like on this camera, but when you see me, I might be a little bigger in person. I sit there and
Me
it's
too.
like my inner child is in the suit. It's like Hulk smash in my suit. My inner child's going, I want to watch anime. And it's the simple PG ones. I'm not watching crazy stuff. It's usually
Right,
the kids, the anime where it's like, I incarnated in a different world and I get to start over from level 1. You know what I mean? I like to watch the journey, right? What I'm
Right,
trying
wow.
to say is,
That's awesome.
dude, I'll give you my Crunchyroll things. You're gonna get ready because you're gonna be like, this is awesome.
Sweet.
You know? So, and then my inner child gets to sit there and then I eat my, my apples and peanut butter and I get to be a kid again because a lot of us had our childhood stolen from us. I know I did. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
So you guys, what happened? Like I lost the years of where my inner child and my innocence and my purity was supposed to develop because we were bombarded by this artificial matrix and we lost what that peace of mind and peace of presence was. And that's where we want to go home to. It's like you need to figure out, everyone on this planet needs to figure out how you get in that calm space. And let me tell you something that's really funny. When I do my inner child's in the suit, and I'm not Commander Kick-Ass, I have the most crazy conversations, and I can hear my highest light. For most people's version, you're high angelic, and he vibrates so loud through me, and I'm like, yesterday it calmed me down because after me and Brad talked, I was lit because he talked about the 2014, the head of the bank in the IMF said that there is another species among us that are making moves and decisions on this planet, and that was the head of the bank. Said that, and he wrote,
wow.
he read verbatim her quote. So I was going, okay, this whole time I'm chasing Zetas and little grays and tall whites. I got these cone heads running around too. The Moldakian refugees are still down here running things. So, I mean, I know who you are. So what I'm getting to, not to point fingers at different species on this planet, but remember, if we are seeds of source, we're pulling down unity consciousness from the absolute, right? Or the unified field. Imagine it would be like just to hold what that consciousness is in your chest for 13 seconds a day. I feel like an inner child and I'm like, I thought my friends were down here. Where are all my friends? So it's almost like you're a huge oversoul cosmic consciousness with the mind of a child looking at the entire plane of existence through your third eye and your 3D eyes going, where are my friends? My friends were supposed to be here. And then he goes into this like, almost like you're like Jumbotron, right? A huge oversoul. And you're like, why are you fighting? Stop fighting. It's really weird. You slow down. And that's something that people kind of, when you kind of step into your oversoul or your true energetic size, everything slows down. And your movement slowed down because you're so expanded. I just wanted to share that with you when you're doing your astral projection stuff. Me and you will go Jedi to Jedi, right? Because I had to learn this more old school. But when you're in that space, everyone creates a huge wide berth. I don't care what species you are, what energetic it is. When you go into that mode, everyone knows that that's no longer Rion. That's one of his higher selves. His oversoul's actually walking around and viewing through his suit. And then everything around you kind of moves out of the way. So I want to express that to you too, Riggs. Hey, when you start expanding to giant size and you start moving around the city, I mean, they talk about going OBE, like your energy body leaves your suit. Okay, I'm running around the roofs. No, imagine expanding into, Voltron. I like to say, the old Voltron. No. And it forms the head and then it forms the feet. You go Voltron mode and you start looking at the city like it's by your feet. And you're going, this isn't... Does that make sense?
No, that's a meditation I've done for years. Like when I have you whatever, like a bad day, like you almost get into something in traffic, road rage, and then bad luck, and you get open a bill. Like on a bad day, I feel very, challenged.
Right.
My meditation is that I grow, and I imagine myself growing bigger and bigger. And I know I grow to the size where the world is in my hands,
Yep.
and then to the size where the solar system is in my, and then to the galaxy. Like I grow big and big and big, and then when I'm done with that, like you can only do it so far, right?
Right.
Give it a shot, everybody. So you just slowly grow in your energy body, and you just grow and you perceive everything at that size. When you're done with it, all those problems aren't problems anymore. You kind of they just break off of you. And so though it resets me on it after I use it on a bad day.
Hey, that's why we're here to share it. Bro, Riggs, let's go. For everyone out there that needs to come out here, listen, we got Jedi training. We got my boy, Mr. Tony Rodrigues. I just got to call you Riggs. Look, you're morphing into Mel Gibson over there. I don't know what's going on. You look great. Okay, it's bad.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. We're all coming together, and dude, I really miss my family, and I'm just here to tell you that there are some big changes coming, but I want to let the entire population of the surface of this world know that there are beings here that know what's going on, that grew up in the same public high schools, colleges. And, there are vessels in this game that are monitoring everything. Every single person, every single being, every single interaction. We're here. So what I'm expressing to you guys is to kind of let go of some of that fear that some people carry around. Like, no one sees, no one knows. No, we know, and we're here together. The point is to raise your frequency above it and try to stay in that blissful place. I know, there's a lot of distraction being thrown at you. I get it. My thing is that the only thing you can do in a world of fear is control your own emotions, your own intuition, and your own frequency. So, create that golden shield or that golden castle around your body and your house and try to stay as high vibe as possible. When we wrap with this, bro, I'm about to crank the 80s in the other room and just send vibrations through the house and just get it. That's what I'm about to do. I'm about to get it. And brother, I can't wait to see you in Bastrop. So you guys want tickets?
Team Light
Store. Dude, Team Light Store. I can't wait to give you a big hug, bro. TeamLightStore.com. And then I think we're going to have to tackle Brad. I don't know. He's a big boy.
It would take both of us.
And yeah. And if you guys don't know who Brad Olson is, the dude's he's 6'8". I don't know. He's
6'7", 6'8".
He's a big boy. We love you, Brad. And you did a great job yesterday. So
I took a picture next to him and everybody said, "Tony, are you super short?"
No, he's just...
I was standing next to Brad, and I'm average size. I'm like 5'9".
Yeah. No, listen, Brad, we love you. And no, for everyone out there, just know that we love you guys very, very much. And we're really excited to come together. The traveler things and everyone coming in, you guys, there's a will, there's a way. There's cheaper flights for people flying in, going into Dallas, get a rental car, drive in. There's things to make it work. So what I'm trying to say is when you guys are getting your tickets, we kept the price low for you guys. By the way, that's 2 nights, 2 DJs, 2 days of being catered food. So I love you. My thing was not about this as creating something to make money. Nay, my thing was can it pay for itself and all my homies get together so we can teach the population of this planet what's coming next. And I think that there are some really cool things coming up for us in disclosure. And I don't know, is there anything else you'd like to say, brother? I think something's going to happen during the eclipse. I have this really weird, there's all these prophecy things.
We got a big year. So the eclipse is a great opportunity to make our intentions known into the universe. Obviously, change yourself, change your state of mind. Everybody's going to be focused on it at once. Thousands of people. We can make your intentions known into the universe, and it's a big thing. It's a spiritual event, an eclipse. There's something that happens. I don't know what it is. I don't know the science, but there's definitely a phenomenon that happens on a conscious level to everybody that's aware of an eclipse. They're really the last one I saw changed my life for in a couple ways. So
right.
I don't want to talk about. But anyhow, this is our eclipse, and this is a big year. So no matter what, there couldn't be brighter writing on the wall that many things are going to happen this year. They're going to be global. They're going to change the world forever. And so right. This is a big year for all of us.
Yes.
I'm just going to zip it.
Hey, I'm excited, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you. You guys have a great week. Grogu's gonna say bye. We love you. Hey, look, and Riggs, I'm gonna give you the full list of all my anime to watch. You're gonna be like, this is awesome.
Sweet.
I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up. Well, with that, ladies and gents, I will until next time, and we look forward to seeing you guys in Bastrop. Peace.